Namaskar, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Report. July 30th is designated as World Day Against Trafficking in Persons by United Nations in the year 2013. IGM, International Justice Mission, is a global organization working on the issue of human trafficking. To shed some light on the same and to discuss the minute details of trafficking and how to prevent it and how to stop ourselves from becoming a part of it. We'll be interacting with Mr. William Christopher. He is the Associate Director with IGM. Namaskar, Christopher, sir.
Namaskar. Good
So,
afternoon.
first of all, welcome to the Daily Report. It's a pleasure being a part of, indirectly being a part of the World Day Against Trafficking through IGM.
Yes.
If you would like to interact with you with certain set of questions and know more about how things are working inside IGM and how does IGM operate at ground to prevent the human trafficking.
Sure.
So my first
Sure.
question would be, sir, I would like to know the
Yeah.
history of IGM. Like if you can just share some history and the core objectives of International Justice Mission.
Yes. Yeah. Our founder, Mr. Gary Hogan, was a lawyer and working in Rwanda on behalf of the people, those who are being exploited through poverty and violence against poor, and for the US government, who has been very passionate and envisioning, the security of the citizens, and also to protect the violence against poor, has started this organization in 1997. He started with a very small initiative to protect the poor, and today we are working in 13 countries and we have 21 field offices, and we also have 7 branch offices in India itself, which focuses the vulnerability of the poor, to protect the poor from the violence of the labor trafficking, the human trafficking, sex trafficking, etc., etc. We also have a core objectives like, rescue million, protect half a billion, and justice is unstoppable for poor. So those are our main, core objectives from 1997 till now. So the recent development is that IJM is part of the government initiatives where IJM and government together working in addressing the issue of human trafficking across the globe.
Very well said, sir. Glad to know
Yeah.
the history from 1997. The team of
Yes.
the motivated team of IGM have been working towards preventing people from getting trafficked, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Talking about
Yes.
that,
Yes.
talking about trafficking as a term, we always synchronize it with an unorganized sector. If you look at
Yes.
people making agarbattis, it's an unorganized sector. If you look at vegetable
Yes.
vendors, it is an unorganized sector. So, what do you think are the challenges being faced by people who are a part of this
Yes.
unorganized sector?
Yes. So if you look at one of the studies which says that more than 90% of the laborers are there in unorganized sector. Just the 10% is the one, they are the organized, sector workers. But when you look at the 90% of the unorganized sector workers, there are huge challenges, lot of challenges. They don't get their, basic rights, their basic wages, which the state government and the central government has set aside for unorganized sectors. There are many, laws which has been enacted to prevent the rights of the vulnerable people, those who are working in the unorganized sectors. It may be a bonded labor, system abolition act. It may be a child labor abolition act. It may be a factories and broilers act. It may be, IPC sections, various, etc., etc. But in spite of being these, acts existing for the last, 60 plus years, we continue to see that they are neglected for their basic needs. There are no water facilities. There are no, resting facilities. They also have a lot of challenges with their basic payment, their benefits like PF, ESI, and whatnot, the weekly off. I have been into so many rescues that they said, sir, we just get 2 hours to go in a week to the market to buy the provisions for us. That too, we cannot go. The Mestri will come along with us so that we go and buy those provisions and come back and start working. And I have experienced some of the migrant workers, those who belonging to Odisha, were trafficked and exploited in a bonded situation in a brick kiln here in Bangalore. And they said, sir, we sleep at 1 o'clock and we get up at 4 o'clock. That means they have just 3 to 4 hours of resting. The entire 20 plus hours goes in their hard working and working and working, which creates a lot of health hazards. There are basic educational rights have been violated. Their payment of wages has been violated, and their right to leisure, the children's, their they don't experience their childhood at all because they start playing with the mud. Yeah.
Not to
And
forget,
they also pardon.
not to forget the migrant workers. There is another act for migrant workers. The type of rehabilitation they should be given by the government. They a proper in the
Yes,
as I have done my homework. There is a proper act which actually regulates the size of the asbestos they should stay. The cooking area should be outside. These all are also getting jeopardized in the whole process.
exactly. So that is what I'm trying to explain you, giving you one particular sector which we are also experts on, which is a bonded labor sector. Mostly the laborers are migrants. They're all in Karnataka. The 75% of the bonded laborers which has been rescued, or you just consider the child laborers, those who have been rescued. Most of them are actually from migrant laborers. They are from Tamil Nadu, or they are from Andhra Pradesh, or
Orissa.
they are from Odisha, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Assam, Mizoram, and whatnot. When they are actually migrated, they are in fact they are trafficked, they are trapped, they are exploited, and they get into the darkness of the life, which push them into the bottom of the life. And finally, every day these laborers, they experience agony, they experience hunger, they experience violation of all their basic human rights, women's rights, child's rights, and also they experience what not: physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse. Mostly these are tribal communities, which are actually neglected communities, those who want to survive in their life. It is a question of a livelihood, so they just get trapped into this because of the livelihood. But when they come into the destination, they experience it's not a livelihood. In fact, they are experiencing the life and death situation in everyday life. That is what is actually happening in whether it is a Bangalore, or it's a Mysore, or it's a Ballari, it's a whatever district you just take for example. All the districts, mostly the migrant laborers are the one, those who are suffering in their daily life.
Talking about Bangalore, Bellary, and Mysore, let's talk about
Yeah,
Karnataka as a whole. What is the state
yeah.
of bonded labor trafficking in Karnataka? If you can share some of at least a story, which rescue story or a case in which you intervened in Karnataka itself.
Since 1976, Karnataka has rescued 66,281 bonded laborers. This is an official record released by the MOLE, Ministry of Labor and Employment. This is an official record. But unofficially, there are thousands of people, those who are still, the lakhs of people, those who are still trapped and being exploited in bonded situation. I was told by one of the officials in Odisha, every year there are 5,000 laborers migrate from one particular district of Odisha. So this is just a point of Odisha. Then consider Biharis, Chhattisgarhis, Rajasthanis, Jharkhandis, Madhya Pradesh. So there are so many people every day. Whenever if you are able to go to the railway station, you can see a lot of migrant laborers carrying a small bag on their shoulder or a backpack, and then they get into the city, and then from there they have been trafficked, they have been again transported to various districts of Karnataka. So what I said is MOLE released statistics, which is in 2018 it was 66,281, that in the month of February we rescued 204 Odisha based migrant trafficked bonded laborers. This case was taken to the District Legal Service Authority of Bangalore Rural, and there was a direction, and then the member secretary of the district legal service authority was very much present on the spot, and then the district administration of Bangalore urban district ensured that all the 204 people are rescued and 163 people were actually declared as bonded laborers. The remaining were actually declared their dependents, and there was very small kids and very old age people. So this is one example which I am giving. There are so many stories like this. When I go for trainings across the state, people say, sir, even in our district, we have lot of people speaking Hindi. People speak various other languages, being working in the road construction, in the building construction, in the brick industries, in whatnot, in various industries, even into the agricultural industries. Last year, we had rescued some people from ginger farm in Mysore, district, border of Mysore and Hassan together. And then we have a lot of child laborers in Bangalore urban. If you go to various mechanic shops, hotels, bakeries, bars, and domestic laborers everywhere. These days we have a lot of event managements. Who's there in the event management? You see people, those who don't speak the local language are present over there, and people those who don't know the culture of this city, they are here. How do they come? How they are coming?
Because they are easy to get fooled, because they are easy to it's a cheap labor. Speaking about child labor also,
Exactly.
it's cheap labor, you can fool them easily. They do not know the local language, you just take advantage of the weakness.
Yes, you are right on to the point. That is what actually Indian Penal Code section 370 talks very clearly, which people are intimidated, people are deceived, people are given false promises, and they are exploited for the purpose of making a lot of money. They don't know the language, they don't know the culture, they don't know the place, geographical area, they don't know how to go, where is the police station, where is the labor department, where is the bus station, where are the provisions available. See, the saddest thing is the mestri, the supervisor of the particular company, will have to accompany all these laborers to go to the weekly market and buy rations. What are the rations that they are buying? They are buying the broken rice, the rejected vegetables, which is available for very, very cheap price. And then what do? They just boil the rice, they just boil the vegetables and then eat with the salt. They don't get nutritious food also. But I need to really thank the government of Karnataka for taking a lot of initiatives. So they have taken a lot of initiatives, for migrant laborers. There is a nodal officer at the state level, both in the labor department and the revenue department, and there is rural development Panchayat Raj, where there are people making a lot of progress in their schemes, the plans and the policies, directions, etc., etc., etc. And we also have a state high power committee which focuses more on the human trafficking angle, as well as bonded labor, child labor, etc., etc., etc. So the chief secretary of the state, the additional chief secretary of the state, the principal secretary of various departments are actually leading these committees, along with the non-governmental organizations, those who are experts and implementers in the field. But there's a long way to go. Every day there is an increase in the number of cases. The laborers, the migrant laborers, their situation is so bad. I don't know whether people think them as aliens or what. I don't know. They're also human beings, right? We need to respect those human beings. We need to honor those human beings. We need to love them. I remember one of the ad I have seen that Atithi Devo Bhava. So guest workers, in fact, we should call them as guest workers, because they are the guest to our state, they are the guest to our district, they are the guest to the place, the destiny, wherever they are. Because they are guests, their rights cannot be violated.
Yeah. Even if they were not the guest, even if it's a local person, the rights cannot be violated. The wages cannot be denied.
Exactly. See, that is what I'm saying. When you cannot violate the rights of the guest, how can you violate the rights of the people within our state, within our country, within our districts, within our villages? So there is a kind of a disparity between the worker and an employer, so which needs to be addressed at that situation. So there are some initiatives taking place. On the 30th we have another webinar which is going to come up, where the labor department, the revenue, the RDPR, and few other departments will be participating and discussing on these issues and taking forward this to the state's decision making authority to see how we can support these laborers.
Now, speaking about bonded laborers, as a layman, we know, suppose I personally belong from a small village in Bihar, like my native. Now, I
Okay.
know for a fact that there is a person who comes to the village, tells that there is an opportunity in a town, takes everyone, takes their papers, brings them to town, to the town. Ideally, he's the one who is responsible for each and every, because he's the link between the village, the people from the
Yes,
village,
yes.
and the contractors and the main person whom required services. But after that, this person becomes absconding. This person does not deliver what he has promised. He just hands it over. So this is as a layman. As a layman,
Yes,
we know this. But what is
yes.
technical? What are the formal technicalities? Like how does bonded labor occur?
The inability of the common man for a livelihood is seeking for an opportunity for livelihood. It's only for roti, kapda, or makan. So only for that, people are actually longing like anything in these, the states which is actually very much, behind of not taking care of these migrant laborers. From those places, people are actually depending on the traffickers. In fact, they are not known to them as traffickers. They are known to them as a common man. Number one, they are from the local village. Sometimes they are very close relatives of the family or the friends of the family, where the trust becomes one of the
Biggest factor.
guiding principle for them. Yes, it's a biggest factor for them. So they have a trust on this Raju Bhaiya. For example, I'm telling you, Raju Bhaiya has become a Bhaiya. So when he's a Bhaiya, they have a good trust and the faith on this Bhaiya. The Bhaiya says, okay, see, because you're suffering, I am helping you out to get a good job in so and so destination, and you'll get paid this much. And I will also get you an advance so that you can clear your debt here, which you are not able to, or you can construct your house, or you can conduct the ceremonies of whether your daughters or sons or children marriage or any functions or any health hazardous issues. You can get it done, and then come with me. I will take you to the place where you'll get a good wages and good life. So they definitely need to trust this Bhaiya, and without even informing anybody, because first time in their life, some people have seen 10,000 rupees. Just for 10,000 rupees, the entire family was trafficked and they have been exploited. For example, I can tell you one family in Tamil Nadu. 24 years back in 2017, I was present right in that Anikal Taluk. 24 years back, a father, mother, and the son with his brother, sibling, family, they came to one particular quarry and they started working there. Since 24 years, they have not sent any one of them to their native place. But thank God, this our Bangalore district administration actually helped these people to come out along with police and labor department. They rescued these families and console them like anything. Today, I can tell you one Madesh who was a very young boy when he came to that quarry in Hanekal, and today he's working for a biotechnology company in Bangalore. He's leading a successful life. In the tribal communities, they live in the forest. They live out of the villages. What is the facility that they have? So they trust these people and they come to the cities. So they say, okay, don't worry, you'll get a good accommodation. What accommodation? 4 by 4 bricks have been stored in a line, and then a zinc sheet, and they stay in that. That's the house. No lighting, no water, no toilet facility, nothing is there.
Now,
That's the situation.
one thing over here, I would like to interrupt you is that you told that there is a Raju Bhaiya or there is a well-wisher who pretends to be a well-wisher who will take care of
Yes.
each and every problem, each and every factor that is stopping one particular individual to leave his particular ground and come with him. Now, my question over
Yeah.
here is it a fault of that of the whole trafficking syndicate, or is it the fault of the local government that the people over there, like suppose we are talking about Bihar, people coming from Bihar, isn't it the fault of the Bihar government that that the government is not able to make sure that everybody is sustained happily, and then it gives the rise to the trafficking? What do you think about it?
See, I don't want to comment anything about that, but I would like to explain to you from the human trafficking angle. IPC section 370 talks very clearly about the source, the destination, and the transit point.
Okay.
Source is a place where the laborers or a common public who's actually deprived and neglected have been chosen for trafficking and exploitation. In the course of trafficking, there becomes a transit point. You just told me about that there are brokers or supervisors like this who actually recruit people and then they hand it over to somebody else and they escape. That's a transit point. Then finally, these people land up at one particular destination where the owner and his people of supervisory takes control of the situation.
They are just channelized and professional.
Yes. So now human trafficking is a well organized crime under which bonded labor also is one of the crimes. So the source, the transit, and the destination, all the three places should ensure that there is a protection of the citizen. That is what IJ believes in. So overall responsibility, it is the responsibility of the common people, the general public, the government, the non-governmental organizations, the media, the five pillars, which is protecting the entire society. Everybody's responsibility to ensure. See, I was actually conducting a training in Bidar. So one of the participants said, "Sir, every day there is a boy who brings chai to us, chaya. So who brings chai to us, and I see them every day, sir. I asked him a question. You're a government servant, and he brings a chai. You know that he's an underage boy. He's a child labor. What steps have you taken? Have you informed the child labor cell? Have you informed to 1098? No, we are not doing. So we are least bothered about what is happening to others. Whereas the responsibility of the common public, the general public, is if you notice somebody is actually being in the source or in the transit or in the destination, their basic rights are violated. For example, let me talk to you about bonded labor. How does bonded labor occur? Bonded Labor Act section 2G tells very, very clearly, anybody for the sake of debt and obligation, they lose their rights. So just for the sake of taking an advance, their rights are lost. What are the rights they lose in their life? For example, minimum wages in Karnataka, say for example it is 400 plus. But when you calculate a minimum wages, a brick kiln worker will get right from 15 rupees to 50 rupees, not more than that. So just in for the sake of the credit that they have taken, maybe an advance, maybe somebody has taken an advance.
Like
I know two boys who actually were, pardon?
they get easily obliged. They get obliged to
Yes.
somebody, and they look.
It's an obligation. Many times it's an obligation.
And then they look at the temporary happiness, and then they'll ignore the permanent loss, the future loss, right?
Exactly. See, to be very frank with you, none of the laborers know their labor laws.
Very true.
None of the laborers know the minimum wages. None of the laborers know their basic rights. Why we have to talk about basic, the laborers? Many common people, they don't know what is human rights.
We do not
That
know
is the
our
reason
rights
we
completely.
Exactly. But one thing I'll tell you, I want to tell this to anybody who's listening to this. The law says ignorance of the law is unacceptable for committing any sort of mistakes. Even though you don't know, you are not aware of the law, if you do any mistake, that is not acceptable. So what I'm saying here is that they are ignorance. There is a huge ignorance for the survivors. I mean the victims. But the culprit who is actually doing this crime, his ignorance is not acceptable. So government does not accept his ignorance. So that is what we need to understand. So the bonded labor situation is so huge. That is the reason Government of India has rolled out a project called Central Sector Scheme. It's called CSS under Ministry of Labor and Employment. So anybody who has been found as a bonded labor and released, he or she should be given 20,000 rupees as an immediate compensation. After the court proves that this is a real bonded labor case in the judiciary, then they'll get 80,000 for adult male, 1,80,000 for adult female, 1,80,000 for children. So this is a special scheme which has been rolled out.
IGM helps to facilitate all of this.
Yes. IGM actually, what we do is we join our hands with the government of Karnataka, various departments. We conduct rescues along with the government. Government conducts, we just go along with them. And then once they are rescued, the government of Karnataka, the district administration gives them the release certificate. Once they get the release certificate, they get immediate compensation of 20,000 rupees either by the way of check or a bank transfer. And then they are repatriated to their respective places. When there are violations of human rights and bonded labor and human trafficking, the case gets filed in a police, FIR gets filed, the police files a charge sheet to the court, and the courts takes it further for conducting the trial process, which ends in a good result. There are few cases which has given a conviction for 10 years, 3 years, 1 year, and 6 year, etc., etc. There are various cases.
As a common man, we should accept that this happens, this exists. We should be vocal about it. We should be educated and learned about it, and we should make sure that we aware a lot of people. Most importantly, we should be vocal about it. We should tell about it. We should talk about it. If we are watching something, we should complain to the authorities. Let's not subside ourselves that कोई ना कोई मैं अकेला क्या कर सकता हूँ, कोई ना कोई तो करेगा. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए, right?
नहीं सर. I want to add to that. See, when you say bonded labor, you think bonded labor means chained, and they are kept in a lock and key. No.
That's not there.
The Supreme Court has very clearly defined about what is that the confinement, mental confinement. Mentally they are threatened and keep them in a binding situation. Threaten them. If you go out of this place, I will kill you. I will file a complaint against you. I will tell that you have robbed the money, the articles from here. In Hoskote, there was one case which was filed against a bonded laborer who escaped himself, stating that he has taken advance of such a huge advance and ran away. So I brought him here, file a case against him. File a case.
I think that you are right. People think that these people who are chained and who are with locks and keys, they are the ones who are bonded labor. Let them think right, because these people are psychologically chained itself. These people are
exactly
locks and keys itself, right? Physically,
yes,
it's not visible, the lock and key, but psychologically they are threatened,
they
are frightened. It's for locks and keys itself, right? My last question to you, sir. Today is 30th of July, the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. What message would you want to convey to people on behalf of IGM?
Yes. So what I'm saying here is that the trafficking of persons is a basic fundamental violation of human rights, which comes from the Constitution. Article 23 to 25 talks very clearly about, if I respect my country, if I respect my country's constitution, if I honor the law, I should be able to protect these people. So how would I do the protection? Spread the news, communicate.
You need to come together and stand for it and accept and make people realize that it exists, and indirectly or directly do not become a part of it.
Exactly. Also, the other thing is that we should ensure that there are many companies which should ensure that they don't utilize the products which has been manufactured or created by the bonded laborers, by the child laborers. If we have some policy like that in place, we can prevent such things happen.
Thank you, William, sir, for giving us this time. I would like to conclude from my side what I've learned and what I know after this interview is that I
Yeah.
request each and everyone watching this interview to not lose hope on the government or on the NGOs when you witness such cases like bonded labor around you. Bonded labor can be of different types as described by Christopher, sir. But whenever you witness a case, do not think that what difference an individual can make, a single person can make. Go ahead, we are technologically amplified. Go ahead, use technology, use Twitter, Facebook. Just make sure that the authorities know about it, and let's leave the rest to the organizations like IGM who are working with the authorities in order to make sure that the country becomes bonded labor free. Thanks a lot, Christopher, sir, for giving us this time. And I hope and we wish you good luck. And I hope that all the endeavors of IGM and the way IGM have been working from past so many years and the way IGM will work in future regarding bonded labors are successful. Thank you for this time, sir.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk about this issue, which can cater the needs of thousands of people, those who are using the social media. And it should not restrict only with the social media. It can spread over across the country so that our citizens are, experiencing a secured, protected, a life with freedom. That's what we are also, aiming at. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chris.